All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all having yourselves a fantastic start to your Wednesday. And yeah, hopefully everyone's been enjoying their trading week, having a lot of fun, taking advantage, right, of the volatility that's in play, and really just putting themselves in situations where it's easy to be successful primarily, right? I think there's been a couple really key changes here in general for people trading, which has been really positive to see. And I really appreciate people putting energy and focus into not chasing trades and instead, right, looking to wait to hear my entry price and then trying to get that same price or better. I think, for a lot of people, that has been a complete and total game changer. And I would push you guys all, right, to continue to really exaggerate that process and to try to gamify that technique. I also hope, right, that everyone had the opportunity to review the trade execution technique video I posted there yesterday. Very important, right, that we understand the basically order of operations for executing trades. It has to be that same thing every single time. If we're going to change that process, we're going to do things differently. We're going to set ourselves up to not execute trades, be confused, right? Why we're not executing trades, and then blame, right, technology when in reality, it's just human error. So, very, very important. There have been too many comments about TradingView not working and simply not true. So, this is how you fix it. This is how you make sure you're actually executing as you expect, when you expect, at the price you expect. And it's very important that we actually do that. Yes, TradingView will have some issues, right? There will be some tech issues every now and then, but that is going to be for a very, very small minority of your executions, less than 5%, right? I would say even like less than 2% of your trades when you're paper trading are going to have some of those technical glitches. So don't pass on responsibility to something that you have control over and cheat yourself of an opportunity to get better, because ultimately that is the most important thing. The reason I made it, right? I had 4 one-on-one calls yesterday. 4 people complained about TradingView being glitchy. When all 4 people showed me their execution process, every single one of them was making mistakes in that setup and was leaving hanging orders. So we need to make sure that those details are sharp, because it is going to be a significant difference in your trading. So again, right, focus on the variables we can control. Probably the most important thing that we can focus on as traders, and really important that we manage those expectations and we put ourselves in good situations. All right. The other thing to talk about here, right, is it has been a tremendous run of form with our trading, right? We're on a nice little streak here. We're taking advantage of that volatility. We're focusing, right, on closing our losers quickly or taking small losses. We're focusing on closing as our P&L is increasing. And we're really being deliberate with our executions and not making too many dumb decisions. The reality here, though, and not to say that it's going to happen here today, but the only guarantee in trading effectively, right, is that my next loss is coming, that it's around the corner, that my next red day is going to happen at some point. Now, doesn't mean it's going to happen here today, right? Doesn't mean it's going to happen here tomorrow. But what that means, right, is that we have to control our mindset and control our ego to remember that we are human, that we are going to make mistakes, and that we are going to lose money at some point over the course of our career. And we simply cannot attach our ego to the outcome and assume that it's never going to happen, because when a red day or a red trade inevitably happens, we will then be unable to accept that outcome, and we're going to compound mistake, make things worse, and make that drawdown or that losing period significantly more painful than it needs to be. So I talk about this all the time, right? Where we want to apply a 24-hour rule to our trading. and not bring yesterday's win, right, into today's session, or bring yesterday's loss into today's session. And instead, we need to trade each day independently and without bringing any extra baggage. That for me is the number one priority, right? Again, another one of those variables that I can control. I can't control what the market does. I can only control my reaction to it. And the more that I take accountability for that process, the better my life goes, the better my trading goes, and generally the less stress I have, right, when I'm inside the stream or just dealing with people even outside of my work responsibilities. So that for me is the starting point here for anything today. Be very deliberate, be very specific, and hopefully, right, we can put ourselves in a good situation to hopefully keep compounding away and keep stacking up some nice wins. All right. Economic calendar wise here today, right, should be a little bit reasonable, I guess. I know we got crude oil inventories, we got a bunch of Fed speak, we got FOMC minutes here this afternoon. Probably the Fed minutes today aren't going to be the most important, all things considered, because we've already started, right, that Fed cutting process. So there's going to be less interest in basically seeing what the split between the Fed members is about cutting rates. Now, probably where that narrative begins to shift is on if people were more interested. Excuse me. I'm sick again. It is ridiculous. But yeah, curious basically if there was a divergence between Fed members who wanted the quarter basis point cut, who wanted the half basis point cut, and basically where things show up from there. That's what I care about. That's what I'm interested in. I think that's going to be what the market is interested in, but that'll be more of a story that we deal with tomorrow. As a general base statement, anytime we've got anything Fed, right? So Fed minutes or FOMC tends to be a little bit of a slower morning, right? With then the action kind of being really aggressive in power hour or the last 90 minutes of the day. And hopefully, right, we have a little bit of an exception here today. That being said, right, if I don't get a trade here this morning, sweet, no problem. Life is good. I've had a great week. I don't need to place another trade, heck, for even the rest of the month, right? And I could still be very happy with my P&L. So really today, make sure that whatever I trade is perfect. Make sure I don't make any dumb decisions. And yeah, hopefully we can stack it up and put ourselves in good good situations. So, all right, let's start mapping things out here. Let's figure out what we want to do this morning, and then let's go from there. So ES, right, red candle, increasing volume, gap up. So we're going to call this a 2 out of 3 to the downside with volume. Now, again, we made a new all-time high yesterday, right, at 6,803. Excuse me. At 6,803. So a little bit of a wacky situation here. We're still holding previous all-time highs pretty well. Not sure if I need to only have a bearish bias here. I think it's reasonable for me to have some flexibility in both directions. As a starting point, would be looking for that 800 move. And then to the downside, right, our pre-market low is 6750. And so again, right, that kind of continues to be our flexibility. So we've got a little bit of space here, 50 points in either direction. That's loads of room if we can take advantage of it. So let's see how markets shape up. All right, NQ, very similar story, right? Higher high, lower low. So kind of an indecisive candle, right? All things considered. And yeah, we'll see if this thing wants to break out for sure. Weldon, like you're saying, right, kind of looks like there's a nice little pattern and then consolidation, right, effectively of that. Probably, on this daily time frame, I wouldn't say that this is a big enough cup for me to be super interested in. If anything, I would probably argue that this is still just like a bull flag breakout continuation, right, where that's your flag, this is your flag pull, and so implied move, right, would be something like that, right? So that for me would be more the pattern that is kind of playing out. Generally, with those cup and handles, I'd like to see it be a little bit of a longer period of consolidation, but we're talking semantics here at this point, right? We've effectively still trading that same bullish pattern, and we'd be looking for the breakout continuation move. In the short term here today, though, right? Still a 2 out of 3 to the downside with volume. And again, I think it's reasonable for us to have a bias in both directions, right? Friday was a 2 out of 3 with volume, and then Monday, really nice little trend day to the upside. Yesterday, right? 2 out of 3 to the downside with volume, potentially a capitulation volume type standard. And again, right, we're setting things up here for a nice potential move. Markets have very much been driven by US dollar weakness, right? Where the US dollar has been selling off, or at least last week was selling off really aggressively against major currencies. And that has made investing in US markets very cheap, which has driven then, right, the price action here higher. To the upside here, we'd be targeting 25.3. If we can continue to see that, we'll call it, dollar weakness and equity strength. And then to the downside here, targeting 24.9. Right, 25 should be taken care of by the indicator, and then we'll just map this out towards 24.5 and then 24.4. Okay. Today, crude oil, we've got crude oil inventories at 10:30. So we'll call this green candle, increasing volume gap up, 3 for 3 here to the upside. We'll say 10:30 data. Again, not huge volume, so I don't want to put too much stock into this. Could be just like a little retest, right? Basically of that trend line as well. But not a huge amount of emphasis to put on that being a 3 for 3. Yes, quote unquote trending PA, but if we look at this contextually, it looks more like a trend to the downside than it does to the upside, right? If we get rid of some of these yellow lines. Right, so it'd be more something like this, right? It would be more what I see as the trending PA versus anything here immediately higher. Now, to the upside, if we could target a move towards 63, gives us a lot of continuation and a lot of moves. But I would be a little bit hesitant to want to trade this prior to that 10:30 data, especially with that very low volume base. To the downside here, would be targeting a move towards 62, then 61.50, 61, and then go from there. Kind of what I'd like to see with CL here this morning would be like an overreaction move in one direction prior to that 10:30 data, right? So see it really position huge move higher or huge move lower, and then use the data as like a mean reversion type setup. All right, Apple, inside bar, double inside bar. So we'll call this inside bar times 2. Tesla, red candle, increasing volume, gap up. So 2 out of 3 to the downside with volume. Chris, are you in the stream here this morning so far? Chris H. Yes, no, maybe. Probably not. All right, no worries. All right, Microsoft, inside bar. Amazon. We'll call this a 2 out of 3 without vol. NVIDIA, red candle, decreasing volume gap up. So 1 for 3 to the downside. AMD, inside bar. You nailed. Meta, red candle, decreasing volume gap up. So 1 for 3. Netflix at 1200, pretty crazy. 3 for 3 to the upside. Okay. Google, inside bar. And then the old VIX Rooney actually hanging out at 17, which is a little bit surprising. Like we don't get that. We haven't seen that for a little bit of time here. So nice amount of implied volatility, implied range here of about 1% this morning. So let's see how volatility behaves or where momentum shows up. Any questions here this morning, team? Any questions? All right, fantastic. So let's see what the market has in store for us. Let's see what that opening range looks like, where momentum shows up, right? If volume is strong and aggressive, we get those stories, should be an interesting day. If we don't get those stories, no worries. I'm happy to sit on hands and to not do anything stupid. So let's see how it shapes up. And yeah, let's see what the market has in store. One sec here, guys. Be right back. All right, so pretty good opening range on NQ, right? Pretty good size, 53 points. So that's a pretty good amount of volatility. Less so on ES, right? ES is going to be smallest opening range here of the week so far. But NQ for sure. No, I don't trade options, Norman. I basically look at those tickers so that I have like an idea of what the market structure is like, right? So if Amazon and Apple and Microsoft are all telling me a trending story to the upside or to the downside, then on the index level, I'm much more likely to get that same continuation. So effectively, I'm looking to try to find the most consistent narrative in the markets. And the more consistent the story is, easier it is for me to get some follow through. In general, I would say that trading options, going long calls, long puts, is trying to beat the market on expert mode, right? For the vast majority of even institutional traders, and I'm talking like 99%, the people who make money trading options are the ones who are selling premium, right? They're selling data or they're selling, sorry, the strikes. They're not going long calls, long puts. For whatever reason, that seems to be a trap that a lot of retail traders have fallen into, and they end up getting absolutely crushed trading options. There's just the excitement, the lure of the Kavorka, right? Of thinking, oh, I'm going to make 100% winner in 30 seconds or whatever. And people end up chasing something that is probably unrealistic for them to actually trade. At its like most generous, day trading options is a very inefficient vehicle to make money with. You get more leverage with futures. You don't get punished with time decay. And you've got way more liquidity so that you can size up and not deal with nasty slippage. So a little bit of a divergence here so far this morning. Half the names up, half the names down. NQ up, ES down, right? So very similar to yesterday's open, right? We had that divergence for a little bit. Now I would put more stock into NQ, right? Much bigger range, good volume profile to start the session off reasonably. So a little bit easier for us to fall in love with that narrative, but we got a lot of work to do before we've got a tradable setup. Everyone feeling good this morning? Beautiful. Good to hear. Oh, Sonia, I hate traveling next to people. It's the worst. Just having someone cough on you for 9 hours. It's fucking disgusting. Sorry to curse, but it is so gross. Yeah, Kyle. Spending 500 grand fly across the ocean. I'm not sure if I can afford that. Yeah, Todd, look, I'm pretty good with my supplements and my health and all that kind of stuff. So it's not that. I do take enough of those supplements. I eat well. I exercise a lot. So if you're just going to be in a confined space with someone who is very irresponsible with their own health habits, doesn't really matter what you try to do. So far, so slow, right? We've got a couple setups, but no active confirmations. Same thing here on ES, right? Decreasing volume on that separation below, so can't trade that. But we're still looking for some of that high volume separation. You get those new toddler diseases too, Samuel. That's like the most wild mutations, right, of whatever's out there. You get like the TikTok of diseases, right? The new fun stuff. All right, so again, we're still looking for a high volume breakout here. In theory, I can maybe look at this on the 2-min. That's all good, Sonia. It's all good. Again, I'll wait for this on the 3-min, right? We've got a $1.45 to go. We're for sure going to get increasing volume here. I do have to say, I mean, one of the beautiful things is it's now like, it's October 8th, right? So it's, fall weather. It's officially the start of like stew season and like all that kind of stuff. Like I love making like French style stews, like a beef bourguignon or um like beef short ribs in cooked in like 25,000 liters of wine. It becomes my favorite time of year to eat, and probably where my cooking skills are at their sharpest. It's always fall weather here. Yeah, absolutely, Kobe. No, I don't do instant pots. I'm a cook for 6 hours, make my house smell that way for months kind of guy. Just self taught. You mean sous vide, like the immersion cooking, like in the water, Derek? Is that what you mean? Not a great candle there. Maybe we can get the fake out here on the two mean or two men. Now my brain's in the gutter here. Truth be told, Kyle, I've taken a bit of a pause on it. And I had a really nice West Coast BC summer. I don't know. Life in the Canadian mountains is pretty nice. Not not to get too political. Yeah, some of the stuff oh, that's really cool. Like if I'm yeah, just feels like there's some uncertainty in the world, and if that's the case, right? Like my impulse would be to go buy a house on like an island where the government doesn't know you exist more than getting put into Palantir's tracking system. All right, so there's our possible fake out. Might be the other one coming up here. Okay, probably not. $114 would have to be the stop loss. All right, well, I'll probably missed that entry. It's fine. No, I'm not going to change up my process for you. Sorry. The reason why I don't execute it on here is because I get what's called a concurrent data warning. So when I have my Tradevate or whatever logged in on multiple screens, then every time I get a data tick on my other monitor, it stops the data on the other. So no, I won't do that. You're going to have to suck it up and tough it out. People have made more than enough money just listening to me. I make it very clear over what I am doing and what I am doing. If you are waiting for me to enter a trade and you're trying to copy it that way, you are no longer copying my trades. You are chasing them and you will not make a fucking dollar. So actually do the work instead of trying to skip steps. It is not difficult. So stop loss would be 129. Might just wait for this 3-min to close instead. If you go through the start here video section and the how to trade with DTR section, you're going to know when I'm placing trades, how I'm placing trades, what price I'm placing trades. So don't cheat yourself of that work. Yeah, Kyle, it's my frustration too, man. People don't review the start here or the FAQ, and I answer the same 5 questions every single day. Drives me fucking insane. Yeah, you hit a nerve because it's already explained and you just choose to skip the work and you waste everyone's time instead of spending the 10 minutes to review something yourself. Like guys, my job is to not be your Google, right? And it's annoying when I get treated like that because you're going to get an answer faster by just looking it up yourself. So my job is to show you my trades, teach you how I'm trading. Your job is to control your other variables and be well positioned to take advantage of that. All the information you need to trade alongside with us is given to you inside the Discord, inside the courses, inside the Start Here channel, inside the How to Trade with DTR channel. Don't ask me to help you fill those knowledge gaps when I'm looking for an entry. It is extremely unfair because it costs everyone else money because of your selfish desire to just skip the work. So yeah, I am very passionate about that because it is really, really lazy. So stop loss here would be 151. We're looking for a pullback under 160.50, right? So I am looking for an entry under that blue line. That should be incredibly clear. Okay. All right, guys, I am in average price 156.75. 3 contracts. Stop loss 151. Okay, just got stopped. That might be the little fake out. That was minus 405. Okay, so this is setting up potentially as the fake out here. So stop loss would be 143.25. Watch this just for a half a second. It's a bit unlucky. All right, we can watch this also potentially here on longer time frames. Okay, pretty good little reaction there. I'm looking for a pullback, gentle, or like little fake out here potentially first and then bounce. 142.50 would be the stop loss. Hey guys, I am in 149.75, 149.75. Stop loss 142.50. Beautiful. Recontracts, green on the day from that. Let's see if this can keep pushing. Yeah. Nice work, Nick. Okay, average price is now 155.38. I have pyramided in. Stop loss is just above my average price now. And let's see if this thing can keep pushing higher. Really good shape so far, though, guys. Really, really good shape. So let's see if it can break out. That's 1,400, 1,500. Nice work, Brian. Congratulations. All right, let's see if this thing can keep popping. Beautiful reaction here so far, though. Beautiful reaction. There's one. Beautiful. 1800 on this. Okay, average price now 159. And we're looking for one more decent pop here through 170. There we go. Okay, guys, I have closed. I am out of this trade. I am out of this trade. $2,200 on that. Let's go. Maybe close it a bit early, but I don't care. Exit price was 171.75. $22.13.83. So pretty good day, right? Pretty good day. Not bad for that to be the P&L prior to 10 a.m. And again, if you just listen, right, I'm going to be pretty transparent over what I am doing. Should be no surprises. So good start to the day here, guys. Good start to the day here. Have one green. Yeah, that's fine. Being a winning trader means you're closing trades early. Let's go, Michael. Love that. Nice work, Chris. $2,800. That's fantastic. So we'll potentially see if something can set back up here. I'd like to probably give it just a few moments. There was a little bit of part of me that was feeling just a tad greedy on that breakout through 170. So I want to fight back against that emotion here a little bit, right? And just slow down just a tad. Let's go, guys. Tibor, congratulations. Patrick, really good risk management. That's fantastic. Good job, guys. So yeah, we closed that, what, 170, 175. We've not missed out much here, right? Yeah, most people are trading with prop accounts as well as some personal ones. No, do not ever lose money on purpose, Joel. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No. Nice work, Derek. Imagine the going on tilt because you can't lose money. Do you know how dumb you would feel, Joel? Like, not trying to be an asshole here. Don't do that, right? if you went above the consistency, the lesson there, right, is knowing your parameters and not exceeding them. But now you're just going to have to make a bit more money, right? But don't lose money on purpose, guys. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Still quite the divergence between ES and NQ. Nice work, plus 1200. What made you close early, Scott? I mean, I for sure closed early now in hindsight, but is what it is. You didn't have to take it. You chose to take it. Be deliberate with your language. All right, so we're resetting back up here, right, for this breakout. We'd be looking for a move now towards 25.3. Nice work, Charles. Congratulations. Again, same response, right? You need to know the rules that you're trading within, guys. Yeah. This idea of trying to lose money on purpose is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't know how to say that in a nice and polite way. But it is, yeah, it's literally fucking retarded. Sorry to use that language, but it is ridiculous to do that. Deb, it does count, right? Because you got to pass your eval to make money. So it does count. You should be thrilled. All right. So good volume here. Target would now be 300, right? So let's see. Now we've had two trades here today. First one, we probably went a little bit too aggressive on that entry and didn't wait for that hit fake out to happen first. On the second trade, right, we waited for the fake out to happen, and all of a sudden we got a lot more follow through and pretty much green right away. So I'm going to be a little bit patient on this and not set up my order window until I've seen these bears fail. Like it's an $1,800 day here so far, so I don't need to do anything aggressive. It probably should have been 3 times that, but that's fine. I'll blame that on the Kung Flu. Maybe on this 2-min, this then becomes our little fake out scenario. Where it looked like something like that. So it would need to fake out, right? And give me like a trampoline bounce back over 200. I would say so far this reaction around that zone has been less than super enthusiastic. Like it's kind of like grinding its teeth a little bit, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I think you guys witnessed a first in DTR history. I don't think I've ever dropped an R bomb in here before. Pretty much every other word I have, but that's a first. The retard word. I don't think I've even said that since high school. So less, excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to be patient here, right? I'm going to be patient. Waiting for bears to fail first, right? Bears to fail first. Can't really say that that's the fake out yet. A little bit better. I probably wanted something like this, right? Use the high of my breakout candle as my reference price. Keep the risk really tight. Hey, I don't know how you feel, Texas Trader, but way that our trade moved the first time did not feel like a zombie crawl. This might be our chance here for that fake out. 201.25 stop loss, guys. Let's go 25, 201. Just keep the math simple. Wait for this candle to close. I think I'll be able to get an overreaction on that. And there it is, right? So, guys, I am in 208.25, 208.25. Pretty much green right away. So, plan came together perfectly as described, right? We got that little overreaction right at that candle close. There's your retest, right? So, if you missed it, there it was. Okay, let's even keep pushing here. Let's even keep pushing. There's 500. See if this thing can get through 220 now, right? That's the handle we're looking for. But so far, so good. Can't spell clearly, but fine. Hey guys, my average price is now 211.75. Maybe a little bit too aggressive there on that pyramid. Maybe not. All right, let's see if this thing can keep pushing here through that 220. There's 221. Beautiful. Keep pushing, baby. Keep pushing. 222. There we go, team. There we go. This thing's starting to nicely move here. All right, average price is now 216, 216. And I'm going to be looking to close this pretty quickly here, pretty quickly. Come on, come on. Stop loss on this is at 220. Stop loss on this is at 220. Come on, push, 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 push. All right, I think I gotta look for an exit here. So guys, I am out. Exit price 219.75, 219.75 exit price. Gave back a little bit of P&L on that pyramid, but still finished with $900 something. It's pretty good. I'll take that all day long. So sitting on a pretty nice day here so far. So loss of $405, win of $2,000 or $2,200, win of $930. Pretty good day here so far, right? Pretty good day. I feel a little bit dumb for not closing at that 228. But I'll take it. That's fine. How's everyone feeling? Everyone feeling good? Everyone green? What do you mean times 3, Norman? Like how many accounts am I copying across? How many prop firms? So you're asking? Okay, here's our possible 3-min fake out. Oh yeah, this right here, right? You can see I had 3 contracts as my original starting position. I built it up to 9 contracts, right, with 2 pyramids. So you can see here, right, in NQ long 208.25, 3 cons, stop at 201. And that was P&L per account. So I'm running excuse me, terrible time for a cough. I'm copying across 13 accounts with prop firms and then my personal account as well. Sonia, what I would recommend, right? You're making more than enough money trading the way that you are. Build up that buffer, build up that confidence, right? Get a few payouts going. And then the pyramiding will come pretty naturally. but I would say that that is not to be like too much of a gatekeeper, but I would say that it's like it's an advanced technique because when it doesn't, or like when it pulls back, it can be very emotional because you start to see your P&L evaporate faster than you made it the first time. No, Mike, I do not connect my personal account to the copy traders. I do not trust that amount of capital with a software that's 99 bucks. Yeah, with pyramiding, guys, I am setting a hard stop loss above my average entry price. It is the only time in my trading where I am putting a hard stop loss above my price. And Charles, there's a lot of talk about it inside the Vetted Prop Firms channel of the Discord. I would recommend going through that channel. I think the one that is probably the most popular among people is TraderSync. That seems to be the most popular option. But like, they're all the same, right? They're all effectively the same. They all effectively do the same thing. So again, it's like, do you want DeWalt hammers or do you want a different brand? It does the same job. It doesn't matter. Any questions here so far, team? Any questions? I'm kind of debating not placing another trade here to a certain extent. Um, you know what, Sonia? Like, the way that you want to think about it, I think I talked about this a little bit last week, but the money isn't real until it's in my bank account, right? So all my P&L is here right now on my screen is like it's effectively bullshit. Like it's not real until I get paid or until I make it real, until I realize those profits. So I struggle to like attach my ego to something that is effectively theoretical until I request it. So I think that that's a big part of it, right? I'm happy with how I traded here today because I stuck to my rules, I followed my process, and I'm judging myself based on my ability to do that. It is that consistent process that allows me to do that. I think where I've gotten in trouble in the past, and I think other traders have probably gotten in trouble in the past, is when they start to spend money in their head that they haven't turned into actual profits, right? So like yeah, I could sit here and think, ooh, like oh, let me buy a new car, let me go on a nice vacation, let me do whatever. And that's probably not going to be a very good style, right? Or it's going to like trigger a dopamine release of accomplishing something when I haven't actually done shit. So for me, that's that's kind of how I avoid it. Like, I don't think about the numbers very much because the numbers are a byproduct of a good process. So I want to put all my energy, all my emphasis, all my focus into making my process consistent, learning from why I'm making decisions and studying, right, that data. The money, then, right, I want to try to evaluate on a week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter basis and not attach my self-worth to it on a daily. The other element too, right, is you just build up a tolerance to it. I've said this in the past, right? And I'm sure I'll say it again in the future, but like a winning trade feels really good for about 5 minutes. And then in a month's time or 2 weeks time, I'll forget how good today felt because I'm going to move the goalposts and I'm going to want more and I'm going to want to improve and I'm going to want to do whatever, right? So, yeah, I don't let myself get caught up in that because I then start to make emotional decisions versus logical ones. So the mindset I always want to adopt is a 0-0 mindset. And I want to be focusing on the variables I can control instead of making dumb, stupid, silly decisions. And that for me is sort of the process. So, yeah, my P&L is not the thing to attach my self-worth towards, especially my P&L in a prop firm account, because it isn't real until I get paid. It is bullshit until I get paid. And the more I believe that, then the easier it is for me to basically, I was going to say separate the art from the artist, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily the right term. But it allows me to maintain that 0-0 mindset and just be really process based. I'm thinking about it to a certain extent. I'm up a lot. I don't need to do anything else. The other thing, Sonia, right? Just to build. No, it's got nothing to do with the interest rates, Mike. It was the dollar weakness, right? So the US dollar was really weak or was selling off relative to all the other currencies. So it was making it cheap to invest in the US market for foreigners, effectively, or for like if you're in the UK or if you're in your whatever. The thing, Sonia, that you want to focus on here, right, is starting to create a reward mechanism for process-based things. So on a day like today, maybe not today because I'm a little bit sick, but traditionally on a day where I have a good trading day and I followed my rules and I stuck to my process, I like to celebrate that, right? So not celebrating based on P&L, but doing something kind of nice for myself. So for me, that's either like making a nice breakfast, right? So maybe some eggs Benny or way too many hash browns or something like that. Or I walk into town, go get a coffee, go get a nice pastry, and then walk back. And I only do those things on days where I felt as if I followed my rules perfectly. I didn't make any execution mistakes, and I trusted my technique, regardless of what the P&L is. So I put myself into a little bit of a situation where I'm rewarding or doing something nice for myself based on a process-based objective instead of a P&L one. And then I look forward to that cup of coffee or that hollandaise sauce or whatever it might be. And yeah, kind of gamify that process a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Like you rewire your brain to not care about the money by reminding yourself that good things happen when you follow your rules. Right? Because my P&L is a liar, right? My P&L on a day-to-day basis is a liar. And so I don't want to, like, I need to get off of that roller coaster, right? Because if I get too obsessed about those numbers, if I think about them too much, I get cocky, I get lazy, I stop doing the work, and then I suffer, right? And when I suffer, I'm a grumpy prick and I'm miserable and I hate everyone and everything. And I hate when I'm that version of myself, right? So I would rather be proactive versus reactive in that context. And yeah, find ways to make winning not be a numbers thing. And then if I follow my rules, I follow my process, I have the faith, right, effectively, that my system works long term, then I'm like delaying that gratification and getting that bigger win. And so that ultimately, right, becomes a really powerful compounding mechanism. And I can go from there. You know, it's funny, like I really like I couldn't tell you what my P&L is for the last month. Like I don't keep that information in my brain. I don't think I could tell you what my P&L is on the year. I don't allow myself to like sit on that information because it doesn't matter, right? It only makes my job more difficult. And yeah, it is a lot for sure, right? But the more that I think that my like shit don't stink and all this kind of stuff, then I end up skipping steps and I end up self-sabotaging myself and I end up making things more difficult than they need to be. So I have to like force myself effectively to be a smooth brained ape, right? And to go from there. But yeah, Kobe, I'm a numbers person here too, right? But it's choosing which numbers you're going to put your attachment towards, right? So instead of judging myself based on my P&L, I'm judging myself on how well I followed my rules. Did I follow my rules on 50% of my trades, 60% of my trades, 70% of my trades, 90% of my trades? That's what I'm judging myself on. That's what I'm studying. That's the data I'm analyzing. The P&L is a secondary consequence of me sticking to my process and improving my trading technique. If I'm judging myself on my P&L only, I'm going to skip steps. I'm going to ignore rules. I'm going to break processes. So why would I allow myself to do that, right? So you have to choose what you're going to gamify. And the lazy thing is to gamify your P&L because that's the obvious solution. But judging yourself based on your P&L is a very quick way to hide the things that actually make you money and cost you money. $100%, Samuel, 100%. And like you're trying to judge yourself on a you're trying to judge yourself on a long-term sample size. But guys, as much as today's a great trading day, right? It's like pushing a couple grand. None of us are 2K away from being rich, right? Like that's not going to make you be rich. That's not going to change your life. So why do we put such a like exaggerated obsession over that number when that isn't the number that's going to create us the freedom that we actually want, right? So why would I put too much stock into that when that isn't the actual goal that I want, right? It's choosing the wrong game to play. So like, I'm a big believer, right, that we have to play for the bigger prize. The short-term prize is, yeah, let's have a 3K day. Let's have a $2,500 day. Let's do XYZ, right? Let's feel super special about that. But that's not the prize I want. I don't give a shit about that. That doesn't pay my mortgage, you know? So why would I celebrate that, right? because that's not what I want. It's not the prize I'm playing for. So why would I give myself the dopamine hit of accomplishing that if that isn't what I want? The funny thing about trading psychology is that very often what we think in our heads is like the opposite of what is actually good for us. Well, I would have to see another setup occur, right? At the moment, I have no active setup, so no reason to trade. I don't trade an impulse. I trade my system and my technique. So I don't know if anything else is going to come together. I can't answer that question. Right? If a plus setup happens, setup occurs that follows all my rules, I will trade. If it doesn't happen, I won't. And Sonia, what you want to celebrate, right, is not the P&L. You want to celebrate that your ability to follow the rules, to trust the system, to improve your execution is what's creating that P&L improvement, right? So the number on your screen is a lagging indicator of your basically technique getting better. So that's the thing to celebrate, right? That's the thing you should be proud of because that's super sustainable. That's going to carry you a lot further. So I would obsess over that as much as you possibly can. Hold yourself, like hold your head high on improving because it makes you better. And look, yeah, you did the work, right? You put in the effort and look at the reward. That's the evidence you want to go. Right? Huh, it's okay. So we want to correlate feeling proud about our trading, feeling happy with our improvement and progress, right? With the work that we do in to improve the quality of our process. Process comes before P&L, and your P&L is a lagging indicator of your skill set as a trader, right? You don't catch up to your P&L catches up to you in both a positive and a negative way. All things considered, price action is effectively stalled since our final trade. So curious to see basically how this now comes together. But everyone's green here, correct? Look, Sonia, I say this to people all the time, but I have a very different personality for when I am trading versus when I am not trading, right? There is a certain level of intensity that is required and certain element of focus that is required to make money playing this game. And I don't really have the ability to be casual. I'm an intense person when I trade. It is, yeah, the only time in my life I'm usually pretty intense. Besides that, I'm kind of like, happy-go-lucky, borderline hippie. I don't know, maybe not hippie, but yeah. Well, I'm usually really drunk at Eagles games, Derek. Not quite doing that when I'm trading, but yeah, when I'm in moments of needing to be super focused, I really struggle to suffer questions that could be answered, because it pulls that focus, right? And it's really hard to find that, or to like stay in that zone of intensity. It requires a lot of energy. So giving that up or like breaking that is very expensive. I appreciate that, team. Awesome, Doug. That's fantastic. Congratulations, man. And what you want to track in your journal here today, right, is that feeling of pride, right? How improving the quality of your process, forcing yourself to get better, being just a little bit more like deliberate with each decision removes that anxiety and that fear, right? And guys, I'm learning a lot here too. Like, what I love about trading is that every single day I get better. I learn something new. I learn something new about myself. I learn something new about the market. Sometimes I learn things that I don't like and then I get annoyed with myself and I got to fix it. But that's the game that we are choosing to play, right? We are committing to a lifelong learning process. We're not committing to doing the easy route, right? One of my favorite sayings is, if I want to be in the top 1% of anything, I can't behave like 99% of other people. And sure, sometimes that means it's not pretty, means sometimes I'm an absolute dumbass. Sometimes it means I'm XYZ. But that's okay, right? I'll always hold myself to that high standard. I'll always hold you guys to that high standard. And that's how you get better. And if we don't have moments where we suffer, we don't have moments where we get our ass kicked, or we don't have moments where the market doesn't treat us well, then honestly, it's not fun, right? It's really not fun. It is the constant evolution and growth and improvement that makes us better. 100% agree with that, Sam. And it's not even like, the idea of doing something is like usually way scarier than actually doing it, right? Like, journaling your trades and tracking your data is not fundamentally difficult. It's just scary in our heads, right? Or yeah, like journaling your trades is not any more difficult than I don't know, writing an email. But just mentally, it's scary for some reason, right? There's almost like a limiting belief that we have that we almost like don't deserve success, or we're actually not smart enough. So we don't want to find out that our idea is correct. So we skip the work, right? And we refuse to kind of get better. And that's just a lie we tell ourselves to get stuck in the moment. And I'm a big believer that our brains don't do what's best for us. They do what's easiest. So the easiest thing for you to do is to stay stuck in your current situation because it requires no evolution. But the best thing for you to do is usually the opposite of that. It's like, I think deep down, when we're struggling, when we're not getting the results that we want, there's one thing that we're like avoiding doing. And that's usually the thing that we need to do to level up our whatever, trading, our career, our life, our relationships. And so we have these like subtle ways of telling ourselves what's missing. But I think most people just get used to ignoring those things or running from them. Right, one sec here, guys. Be right back. No, Apex will allow you to have 20 accounts. There's a lot of different prop firms that will allow you to have 5 accounts. Apex will allow you to have 20. Oh. Yeah, I think at this point, guys, I'm probably not going to place a trade. You know, price action is effectively stalled for the last 45 minutes without giving me an active setup. So by the looks of it, we caught the vast majority of the move. It's a pretty good trading day, so I don't think I'm going to do anything more aggressive here. Everyone is green. Everyone's doing well. Yeah, James, hey, and that's okay, right? Like, we're gonna be like, it's always a little bit of improvement. It's always a little bit of takes a bit of time to like compound those lessons. Maybe not the best quote, but there's an Ernest Hemingway quote, right? We talked about going broke, and it was like suddenly, then all at, or gradually, then all at once. And it's often the same with like trading knowledge, right? Where that compounding effect is really quiet in the background until it isn't. And yeah, like that. It's kind of frustrating sometimes, but that is the reality. There's a great Mark Minervani quote where basically he's like, yeah, like once it clicked, then I paid for 3 years of trading lessons in 1 week. And that's very much what it is like. And guys, making mistakes is a good thing, right? I want to say that, like, making a mistake is not a bad thing at all. So I'm going to make a ton of mistakes over the course of my career. You guys will too. It's just learning that that's a data point to learn from, study. Okay, why did that happen? How can I fix it? That's how you get better, right? So the second you start to embrace that kind of mindset, then that compounding effect happens a lot faster. And yeah, Kath, I'm one of the things I'm extremely grateful for in my life is the community that we have here. We have such a good group of people. Everyone is on the same page. Everyone wants to win. There's no nastiness or anything along those lines. Like that's the nastiness comes from me. So I freaking love that, right? We've got such like it's so much like it's so rewarding to be surrounded with other like-minded people and seeing the growth and the improvement and the progress that people make. It's truly one of the things that gives me the most satisfaction. So I really appreciate you all for contributing to that fantastic environment because I think it makes this community very, very strong. Yeah, like every prop firm has pros and cons. Like the like yeah, Apex having the intraday trailing drawdown kind of sucks. It's not the best. But once you build up your buffer, it's effectively irrelevant. So you can pick and choose, right? None of these prop firms are perfect, guys. All of them are flawed. Hey, love that, Sam. Well, you've seen a pretty good week here so far. I think this is day 13 or 14, green in a row. It's been a nice little run of form. It's been fun. Yeah, James, I agree. We've got a couple Cowboys fans in here, so that maybe changes your opinion a little bit. But we got a good group of people here. Yeah, Michael, I'm I joke a lot with people about this, but when I was first learning how to trade at Air Rain, like the family fund I worked at, I sat down next to a guy named Steph, and what my job was for the first I don't know 3 months, basically working there, was to ask him every annoying question I could think of, and I would probably drive him insane with just how many questions I asked. And every time I did something annoying, which was a lot, he'd yell at me, he'd bitch me out, he'd do whatever. And he didn't do that because he didn't like me. He did that because he held me to a high standard and cared, right? He wouldn't give me that emotional reaction. He wouldn't give me his energy. He wouldn't give me his time of day if he didn't actually want me to be successful, right? Because if he didn't care, he wouldn't put in the work. And so for a very long time, right, I viewed his criticism as personal, but in reality, right, it was me imposing a feeling on him that he didn't have himself. And once I kind of realized that and took that to heart, it actually made a tremendous difference, right? Because then I could see that, hey, this feedback isn't personal. It's just his style. And it's okay to be intense. It's okay to have disagreements or arguments or any of those things. But ultimately, he actually kind of like cares about me or loves me, to use this maybe soapy term, because he wouldn't dedicate this amount of energy if he didn't care, right? And I think that that's a very important thing to understand. Feedback is never personal, or it's never attacking the individual. it is attacking your trading. And sometimes, right, it's hard to distinguish between the two. But the reality here is that no one is ever going to attack Norman the person or Tony the person or John the person. We're going to attack Norman's trading, right? We're going to attack Kathy's trading because that's how you get better. And generally, when we impose feelings based off feedback, that is a trick. Basically, our brain is playing on us to make us not take that feedback well. Look, guys, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. It's just asking questions when I'm looking for an entry over why I don't do XYZ costs everyone money, right? That's why it's annoying, right? Because we can answer these questions by just going through the materials. When we're in the middle of a trading day, we should be talking about why we're taking trades, what our position sizing is going to be, how to manage risk, right? We shouldn't be talking about how do I do something in TradingView. That is the inappropriate time to ask that question because then that costs everyone else the opportunity to make money. And that fucking sucks. That is a really selfish approach when you could have just dealt with it by watching a video for 15 minutes. So that's where the annoyance comes from. And that's what I want to separate, right? Inside the stream, we should be talking about psychology, technique, right? Strategy. We shouldn't be talking about something that we can take care of outside of market hours. Yeah, Robert, what's up? Does that make sense, guys? Right? So, like, there are two types of questions. We want to make sure that those questions are actually designed to help us. So like asking me what my entry target is going to be or what my position sizing is. Those are good questions. Those are good ones. Asking me how to set up an order window is not an appropriate question when we're looking for an entry, right? So we need to be like more selfish effectively in coming prepared instead of hoping that we're going to get bailed out and figure it out as we go. I don't believe that that's possible. All right, guys. Final call for questions here. I'm trying to get hungry. Yeah, Tony, spot on. Every single person here, I want to be as successful as they can be. Yeah, speak to your DTR advisor, Sam. They'll help you out. See, right? You've got no hesitation on trading on paper because the P&L doesn't matter to you in that situation, right? You start to hesitate because you then attach a P&L obsession over something that isn't real, right? Your P&L is not real until it's in your bank account. So why are you treating it any differently? It is purely mental. So the counter to that, right, is to focus on your process. What can I learn? What can I improve? What can I do better? And that will remove that hesitation. But if you're going to continue to judge yourself based on the quality of your P&L, you're going to get fucking crushed because your P&L will always exaggerate the anxieties that you have, and not choosing to fix those problems will continue to create that hesitation. So the only counter to that, right, is that gamification system we talked about 35 minutes ago. And that's the solution, right? Can't hide from it. And you got to be more deliberate with the language that you use to describe your problems, because There is fundamentally no difference to trading in paper trading versus trading inside your eval account or once you're funded or in your personal account. Technically, right? It is all completely the same. It is just how you impose your feelings on what you are doing or how you judge yourself on what you're doing that is changing. And so you need to be accountable to yourself over why you are making those decisions, what the pattern is behind making those decisions, and then creating a plan on how you're going to do something differently. It won't just happen by saying it's going to happen. It has to be far more deliberate than that. Any other questions here, guys? All right, guys. So final call here. Final call. So PNL here on the day, 27, 35, 58. Net points, let's do that calculation. 11.25 plus 22.5 minus 5.5. So net points of 28 and a quarter on 3 trades. So I had 2 wins, 1 loss, max loss of $400. Biggest win was 2,200. Second biggest win was 927. All right, guys. Well, if no further questions, I'm going to kill the stream here for the day. Same deal like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. But it's time for probably some, I don't know, tea or something like that. And then jumping in bed for a little nap. So have yourselves a great rest of the day, guys. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Peace.